Welcome to Braves Country. Sorry, little bumpy start here. Amos, how are you, sir?
Well, I'm glad I'm not deaf. I was starting to get very worried that artillery had fully kicked in there, but I'm good, buddy.
I try to do this a little faster this time instead of all the big long intro. It's a long story, but YouTube keeps screwing with me, so I was trying to do this a little faster, and away we go. So we're going to be talking Braves, we're going to be talking Red Sox, we're going to be talking NL East, we're going to be talking AL East. Normally, Braves Country is much shorter, and we just talk Braves. Well, on Mondays, Timus is going to start joining me. We're going to be doing the whole gambit of Eastern baseball because we're in the home stretch, and this is basically a combination. What do the kids call it these days? The mashup between the catbird seat and Braves Country. So away we go on that. And how are you feeling about your Red Sox, Timus?
Not awesome. I think this series coming up with Tampa is kind of going to decide whether we have a legitimate shot, legitimate shot at making the playoffs. If we go down there and win, we have to win the series. We can't tie the series. It's 4 games. We can't go 2-2. We have to win it. We need to sweep it to have any kind of confidence going into the month of September. Do I think that's going to happen? No. I don't have a lot of confidence in our bullpen anymore. And Barnes just seems worn out. And without a closer, we all know what that adds up to. So,
yes, we do in Braves Country, baby. We have a front row seat to that. If our starting pitching hadn't been so spectacular, this lead that we've built over the Mets and Phillies would never have existed.
I mean, the pre-All-Star game, we had good pitching, we had good bullpen and everything, and then after the All-Star break, everything just went downhill. And pitching is everything in baseball, and especially if you're playing the Yankees and the Rays 19 times a season apiece, and Toronto. But yeah, I think we're in trouble.
So what I'm looking at here is looking at the big picture. So I think you got to be kind of realistic in saying that when you're 8 games behind with, what do we have, about 30 or so to play?
Roughly, yeah.
And you also have another team in front of you, the division's probably a very long shot. Because even if you were to sweep Tampa, that doesn't mean that the Yankees are going to start losing all of a sudden. So I think you have to be realistic on getting that wild card. If you look at the wild card now, if you go 2-2 against the Rays, I think you take that. I mean, if I'm a Red Sox fan, I wipe the division out of my mind because I'm just trying to get in the damn playoffs at this point.
Right. Yeah. That the division is a pipe dream at this point. Nobody, even Boston sports analysts, have pushed the division out of their head. We're only talking about getting in now. And what do we do if we do get in? The division's gone. That ship sailed right around the time the Yankees swept us that last series. That was pretty much sayonara for the division. In my mind,
I do think they're going to find a way to make it into that, into the what's the word I'm looking for? The wild card playing game. Okay.
Yeah.
Because for all intents and purposes, the only teams they have to worry about is Oakland and Seattle in my book. Okay. So if you look at the wild,
do we really think Seattle though? Do you think
that?
Seattle legitimate? Do you think Seattle's legitimately even on the radar? Realistically, do you think? I think
they're a very good baseball team. They would be more on the radar had they not traded away Graveman. But they're a very good baseball team, and 4.5 is not out of the, I think they're more on the radar than Toronto, to be honest with you, because I'm not sold that Toronto's pitching is going to. Toronto's offense is phenomenal, but you can only get so hot for so long as batting. So yeah, I do think Seattle is. If I was handicapping it, the Red Sox are still my favorite to get that second wild card, and Oakland is the team I would go with long term, but Oakland has just gotten hit with a couple of injuries that we don't know how long they're going to be out with a couple of the guys, but that could be a huge blow. Now Seattle's got a big series right now. They're hosting this week, starting tonight against Houston. They cannot just get the crap kicked out of them and expect to still be in it. So they need to just weather the Houston Astros storm, which is mighty. And if they can do that, I'll look at their schedule in a second. I do think that that they've got a fighting chance. Do you not?
I would call it a puncher's chance, but not more than that. In my opinion, I think we need to focus on Oakland for sure, 100%. But that's the obvious answer. And I don't believe Toronto. I believe Toronto is probably a step below Seattle. I'm not sure that pitching, like you said, that pitching suspect. And without consistent pitching, one, you're not going to win and you're not going to leapfrog teams. So unless you have consistent pitching, which is the trouble the Red Sox are having right now, if you needed another IE.
I just don't think it's all doom and gloom in Red Sox Nation. Look, I know they went through a rough stretch, and that part is tough to swallow because you're like, man, if we just would have played a little better, we wouldn't be in this position, et cetera, et cetera. We were leading the division all year long. But kind of what you laid out there is a little bit what I'm referring to in the fact that they did wear their bullpen down and their pitching down because I just felt like that they went to that well one too many times, and he's starting to show that the closer for Boston is really starting to show wear and tear.
Yeah, Barnes is in. We're in real. Whoa, looking back at that trade deadline, if we could have had old Crooked Arm with us right about now, I think Craig Kimbrel would have looked really, really good. But we didn't. So talking about things that didn't happen is not going to do us any good. But I'll say it once.
No, but it is dumbfounding to me. It's dumbfounding to me that they didn't do more. Like, why didn't they do more? Right? Because why weren't they more aggressive? Because Craig Kimbrel could have solved a lot of issues.
Yeah,
you ensure that you get to the playoffs. And at that point, when you get to the actual playoff game, dude, to have a Barnes Kimbrel 1-2 punch at the end of the game, that'd be huge.
And Barnes even came out and said, look, I will give up the closing position. If we sign Craig Kimbrel, the closer it's him. I'll be the 8th man. I'll be the 7th inning guy. I don't care. If we get Craig Kimbrel, there's not going to be a controversy. I will give him the closing position. I'll make it easy on Alex Cora. We didn't. Our new claim to fame now, the High and Bloom keeps preaching about, is that our farm system is in the top 10 in the major leagues, which is great, but we don't win World Series in the farm system. So that doesn't do a whole lot for me.
Well, the other thing is this. When I look at the whole specter of it, I bet Kimbrel wishes he had gone to Boston. I get it.
He liked it there.
He did, and he likes being a closer, and he is not doing well in the whole setup where he's the what do you call it? He's the 8th inning setup man right now. Okay.
Right. Yeah.
He's been doing terrible because he's got a mindset, man. And he was pitching so well before they traded him. If he's not the closer, I think it messes him up. I think it messes up all these closers.
Yeah, well, it happened to him in Boston too. He sustained that injury, and then they started trying to put him in the 8th inning. He was getting lit up, and as soon as he went back into closer role, he's Craig Kimbrell again until the playoffs when he became cardiac Kimbrell. But he was very, very fatigued at that point. But yeah, Craig Kimbrell is a closer. He's not a setup guy. Which, there's nothing wrong with that. If you're good at your job, if you're good at being a closer, be a closer. It seems pretty, elementary. Why, if the stats show clearly he's not an 8th inning guy, he's a 9th inning guy, then throw him in the 9th.
I agree, man. I think that I think there's something to be said about when you make a trade for a closer, especially a guy's an established closer like Kimbrell, right? This isn't his first rodeo. Wasn't some young kid. He was a closer. It messes with them because he's not just wanting to win, and obviously he's a competitor and he wants to win ball games. He's looking at his legacy.
Yeah.
It's the equivalent of making a trade for a big bat and say, we're only going to use you as a pinch hitter. Like, there's a mentality that goes with, I deserve to be on this particular stage. I deserve to be on that particular stage. And that's what's dumbfounding to me. Yeah.
That mindset to be a closer, one, you kind of got to be a little off in the head anyway to want to be that guy to where, okay, bring all the pressure to me. And they're all looking up at Mariano. Everybody knows it. Nobody's saying he's going to go down in history as the greatest there ever was. That's Mariano, and it probably always will be. But all those guys want their name mentioned in the same sentence as Mariano at some point, and you can't do that in the 8th inning. You just can't.
I agree. And so anyways, moving on from that, looking at what's going to happen this week. Look, the Red Sox and the Rays begins tonight. It's Pivetta versus Patino. I make no bones about it. My favorite team is Atlanta. My second favorite team is Tampa. I'm definitely going to be locked in on that, especially since the Braves aren't playing until 10 o'clock tonight, and we'll get into that here in a bit. But if you look at that series, and we'll focus on that series right now, you have those two guys going head to head, which, by the way, the Yankees are up against the Angels tomorrow night. I wish this game was coming on much earlier. I would really love to see what Shohei Ohtani versus this Yankee slaughterhouse of a lineup, what that kind of matchup would be. It's going to be phenomenal. I just hate that it's not going to be until 9:38. Tomorrow's game, though, Red Sox Rays. I've got to get off the, you know what? MLB Network, man, or MLB.com is just junk when it comes to getting the starting pitchers. They're like 4 hours in front, and that's it.
Well, tomorrow's neither team has posted their pitcher for tomorrow.
I want to double check.
It's sale on Wednesday.
Okay. So all right. I just always like to double check that because anytime I'm on MLB, I always think, oh, they haven't posted it yet. And then I go over to ESPN and the stars are sitting there right in front of me. I'm like, what the hell's going on? So it's Sale versus Rasmussen on Wednesday. You got to give the edge to if Pivetta pitches well, I think you got to give the edge to the Red Sox in those two games. I really do. The Thursday game, that's an evening game. McClanahan versus Erod, I get to give the edge to the Rays. So tomorrow's game, which, as you mentioned, they're not releasing any starter information yet. It's not out of the realm of possibility with those pitching matchups that Boston could win 3 out of 4. But I think you got to be happy if you go in there and take 2 of 2.
I disagree. I think we've painted ourselves into such a corner. Splitting the series, we're right where we are right now. So, because the Yankees have forgotten how to lose.
Which is in the playoffs.
we need to gain some ground.
On who?
Anyone we can at this point. I mean, we're 8
You're not
games
gonna win the division, is what I'm saying.
right, but one, we need to go down and play Tampa well in Tampa, which, let's be honest, the Sox never do. I think it's a mental game at this point that if the Red Sox go down there, we take 3 out of 4, and we're like, okay, you know, it is doable. Let's move forward now. We prove, but if we go down there and it's 2-2, you're like, well, yeah, that's, I don't know. I think it's mentally, it's a much bigger deal to go down there and win this series than to just split. The Sox need they need a really strong series to kind of right the ship a little bit. There's a lot of, from what the Boston reporters and everything, that locker room's quiet these days. We could use a good jolt. I mean, we're coming into September and playoffs are just around the corner. We need a little bit of fire would help us a bunch, I think.
Okay, but I get what you're saying, but you got to be realistic, and it's not realistic to think that you're going to go in and just pull out the brooms in Tampa. I think 2 of 2,
no,
when you're playing a team who, oh, by the way, is a pretty damn good team. Last time I checked, they just went to the World Series. They're leading the division by a week in front of a very good Yankees team and a Red Sox team that played well at the beginning of the year. So if you can just get the W, man, get a couple of W's. Don't go in, because what if you go down there and get swept? What if you go down there and lose 3 or 4? You're trying to tell me if I told you I'm going to put you at Friday morning and you wouldn't take a split in this series? I would 100 days to every stretch of the imagination. If I'm a Red Sox, I was like, you're going to give me a split in Tampa? Let's go. Let's see where we're at, because I guarantee you we're still leading the second wild card at that point, and then you go from there.
Okay. By that rationale, though, let's say the Sox go in and lose 3 out of 4. What do you think happens then for the Red Sox?
I'm saying that I'd be happy with 2 if a 2-2 split if I'm a Red Sox fan. That's what I'm getting at. Because when you're doing that, and we'll just put the Mariners off the side, we won't even pay attention to the Mariners, because what the hell's the point? I mean, this isn't a 4.5 hour show. So you look at the Mariners, the A's, you look at what they've got coming up in front of them. They're going on a long road trip. They're at Detroit and at Toronto. We all know Toronto is very explosive with their offense, but I'll tell you something else, man. Detroit is sneaky good. Detroit is going to be a team that if they add a few pieces next year, Detroit is going to contend in that terrible division. Detroit could get a win, maybe even 2 against Oakland. I haven't looked at the pitching matchup, but I'm just going through my head. I know Casey Mize is going, I guess it's tomorrow night, or is he going? Yeah, because I don't think they play today. So Casey Mize is a good pitcher. Anyways, they're going on a 6-game road trip and then coming back and playing Chicago White Sox. It might be at home, but they're playing the White Sox.
Yeah, they're no slouch either.
That's a 9-game stretch where I think that you can make some ground up, because you need to do that, because after that it's Texas, Kansas City, Angels. Those are 9 games where they could win 6 or 7, right? And then you look at how they finish the season. This is going to be the tough stretch for Oakland. This is why I still say I think Boston gets in the playoffs. It's Seattle at home, the Astros at home, at Seattle, at Houston. Now, that last game, Houston might have their scrubs in, but I don't think usually baseball teams don't put their scrubs in until like the final game of the season to prevent injury, but they don't. It's such a timing-based sport. You don't want rust, right? That's going to be a tough stretch, a very tough stretch. And so they've got kind of a difficult 9 days in front of them. Then they're on easy street for 9 games. But then the last 12 is very difficult. So
But
I'm looking at the fact that, man, if Boston just doesn't get their doors blown off in Tampa, and I get it, man. You're a big Red Sox fan. You want to win every game. I get that mentality, but also if you look at what the Red Sox have in front of them, if they can get out of this damn Tampa Bay series alive, meaning still having the lead in the wild card, you then get Cleveland at home, who, let's be honest, they're not what Cleveland's been in the past. Now, the Tampa series in Boston, I'll say yes. You want to win 2 of 3 there. That I can concede.
Yeah, we have to win that series. That's a half must win, I think. That one in Boston.
At the White Sox, at Seattle, that's difficult. But then you come home and you get the Orioles for 3. That gets you healthy really quick. You get the Mets for 2. That's 5 games, man, where you might win 4, maybe even 5 of them.
And also, which is, I think, at this point in the season, almost just as important, there were 2 off days that week in between Baltimore, the Mets, and then we go
Right.
and then we host the Yankees. Those 2 days off, we've got to get those, we can go into the last week or so with fresher arms and things like that. I think as long as we don't get rained out again and have to, give up one of those off days, I think that's a very positive thing for Boston that we desperately need. We need to get that bullpen rested because, like you said, they've gone to the well. They have run that well dry.
If you can
and
get
it's showing
striking distance of the New York Yankees by September 24th, you're only 2 games behind them. But if you can get within striking distance, and we just talked about the 5 games, the 5 easy games they're going to play right before New York. If you can get within striking distance, I mean within like 2 games, 1 game, hell tied by September 24th, and you can win that series, things are looking good for you, my friend, because you're going to finish at Baltimore and at Washington. I get it. Every baseball team is a Major League Baseball team. Winning on the road is always hard. But Baltimore and Washington by late September, early October are going to be a glorified AA team because they're not going anywhere. And the expanded rosters, they're going to be putting kids in there. You can absolutely sweep that. There's no reason why you can't. If you look at the Yankees during that same time frame, the final week of the season, they've got to go to Toronto and then host Tampa Bay. If you figure out a way, and I know the Yankees been red hot, but if you can figure out a way to host that wild card, that is huge. And that's what I would be playing for as a Red Sox fan right now.
Yeah, I mean, am I saying the season? No, I'm saying, are we in trouble? We are. And it's entirely in our hands. We win, we go out and do our job, win the games we have to win, and the games we're supposed to win. Playoffs are very much in the picture. It's
going to be Boston. It's going to be New York, a 1-game play-in.
Well, that'll make
I haven't gotten a sense of who I think is going to be hosting because the Yankees have played so well recently. You want to say the Yankees, but when you look at that schedule, man, dude.
And
how long can the division by then?
Yeah, I mean, Yankees aren't going to continue to win 13 in a row. Let's hope. They're going to lose a certain amount of games here and there. Now, are they white hot right now? Yeah, they are. But how long can you sustain that, especially down the stretch? I think they're going to come back to earth a little bit. I think right now they're the Yankees that everybody thought they were going to be at the beginning of the season. But hopefully they start playing like humans again toward the end. But the schedule, I agree 100%. When it comes down to it, if we're within striking distance, that last week is definitely on our side.
They're going to have an easy week this week. They're playing the Angels and they're coming home and playing the Orioles. That's why I'm saying if you can just split with the Rays and then as they say, handed you business next weekend. It's all about getting to that point where the schedule lightens up for you, because it gets much tougher for the Yankees in late September than it does for the Red Sox. Let's go ahead and switch over to National League. Braves and Dodgers series begins tonight. And look, this is a rematch of the NLCS. The Dodgers have dominated this series across the board with Atlanta, both regular season and postseason. But I'm feeling much more optimistic about my Braves than I was before the trading deadline. Anthopoulos, as poorly as he has done in the offseason in his signings, he did a masterful job at the trading deadline. He brought in Soler, who's been phenomenal coming over from Kansas City. He's brought in Duvall, who's solid. He's a clubhouse leader. And I can't tell you what, not just for the fan base, but for that locker room, you can tell what Jock Peterson does for that team. This is a brand new outfield. They just got Ian Anderson back yesterday, who pitched a gem against the team with the best record in baseball, and the Giants. But now we head to the Dodgers, and though the Giants might have the best team, the best record in baseball, I think we all still believe the Dodgers are the best team in baseball. Here's the slate. Drew Smiley, who's pitched much better of late. He's 9-3. He's lowered his ERA. It's now 4.54. It was well over 5 for a while. He's going up against Julio Urias. We couldn't hit this guy last fall, so I'm worried about that. By the way, while we're doing this, the Phillies are going to be beating the crap out of the Nationals. So it's like, you got to weather this storm. Then Atlanta, it's Charlie Morton versus Walker Buehler. Now that's a great pitching matchup. Man, Bueller's got a 2.02 ERA. So how can you be much better than that? And then it's Max Fried versus Max Scherzer. We get their 3 studs. So this is going to be, as a Braves fan, and I get it, the Phillies going to be playing Washington, and Washington sucks, and they're not going to give it much of a fight. If the Braves just don't get swept by the Dodgers, I'll be happy. We're 4.5 up. If we leave LA and we're still 2.5 or better up in the division, I will be jumping for joy, because this is
that'll be a win.
This is the series I have dreaded, Teamus. This is the series I've dreaded. I'm like, oh my God, we got to play the Giants. And thankfully that was in Atlanta. Then we got to turn around and play the Dodgers. This was the 6-day stretch. I was like, this is going to be brutal. After that, Atlanta gets to go to Colorado, which, by the way, I won't have a show for that this week because I'm flying to Nashville that day. So there's no realistic way I can do a show. So I will, we won't be here Monday because of Labor Day. We'll be here the following Monday for Labor Day. When I get back into town, I will do a Braves country. I just don't know if that's going to be Wednesday morning or afterwards. But we're going to go to Colorado for 4 after this. That can wear on your bullpen, but Colorado is not a very good baseball team, right? If we can just not get swept in LA, I will be ecstatic, because I mean, I think we should win 3 or 4 in Colorado, even though it's a road and it's a terrible place to play, and et cetera, et cetera. If the Braves can be a total of 4 wins and 3 losses this week, that would be an outstanding road trip in my book. I know the Braves are your second favorite team, but you watch much more Red Sox than anything else. Have you caught much Atlanta Braves action this year?
I've caught 2 or 3 games, but no, I mean, well, besides the one they played the Red Sox, those I just drink through, because I can't cheer against the Braves, but I can't cheer against the Red Sox. I mean, either. So I just whiskey it up through those. But when they weren't playing the Sox, I've caught probably 3 games, mainly just to watch Freeman go at it. He's one of my favorite baseball players out there right now, and I love Freddie Freeman. I love watching him play. He's excellent. So I don't know a lot about.
Absurd that we have let this get to this point where he's going to be a free agent. It is so absurd. And everyone still believes in Braves country that they're going to re-sign him and he's going to want to sign. But my God, what does this guy have to do to get a damn deal done? Whatever he wants, he deserves. for any length of time. Because unfortunately, it's going to happen. The designated hitter's coming to the National League. So when that happens and Freddie gets to the point where he's not as limber to play first base as he used to be, which I still think that's 5 years away, you can put him at the DH.
How old is he now?
He's 31, I believe. So, and he's a Chipper Jones. He's a face of the franchise. He deserves, if he wants a 7-year deal, give him a damn 7-year deal. You know the guy's going to go out there and perform. You know he's going to, and he's not going to get lazy. This guy has always looked at the big picture. Chipper Jones took him under his wing at a very early age, and his goal has always been to be a champion and to be in the Hall of Fame. So you signed to him a 7 or 8 year deal when the back end might be as a DH. He's still going to produce. It's absurd to me that they've let it get this damn far. It's like nauseating because you're like, my God. I mean, we just extended our catcher, Darnode, for a 2-year, $16 million deal. I get it, it's different pay scale, but can we get Freddie Freeman done? The guy probably is about to win the second consecutive MVP because he's played just out of his mind in the second half of the season.
He consistently. This isn't a flash in the pan guy. He's been good since. When I think of Freddie Freeman, I think of him being an elite ball player. I don't remember
last time. Yeah, I don't remember the last time that he wasn't considered the best first baseman in at least the National League, if not Major League.
National League for sure. Yeah, the National League for sure.
Maybe it's been 4 or 5 years ago when Rizzo was, elite. But Freddie, as good as Rizzo's been over the last few years, Freddie Freeman surpassed him.
Yeah, he's a head taller in that department. I mean, good is good, man. It doesn't matter if you're a Braves fan or if you're a baseball fan. I watch this guy. And if you're a young baseball player trying to make it, that's the guy you want to be. That's the guy you want to say, all right, I want his career and I want his work ethic. And he's fun. He's a fun player to watch. He's fun to play defense. And God almighty, when he gets in that batter's box, man.
I go to him today and say, Freddie, if you give me 8 years, do you take $250 million? Yeah, let's do it, man. Come on, let's go.
But
we don't need a freaking agent.
Want to go that expensive because the DH hasn't happened yet. If the DH has happened, I would.
It's going to.
But I'm against any contract over 5 years. Really, I don't care who you are.
Freeman's different, man. He's different. He is. It's just like how Red Sox fans believe that Betts should have been given a long contract. Freddie Freeman has deserved it. He does. It's different. I'm not saying do it for every player that comes along with Atlanta. Freddie Freeman deserves it, and there's going to come a time where you're going to have to do it for Acuna. And that's the list, right? The pitcher.
Yeah, the Padres did that. What's his name? That Tatis. How do you say his name?
Tatis.
Yeah, Acuna is just around the corner in that department. Right. Yeah, I agree with that.
He's got the friendly deal with the Braves for the next 3 to 4 years that they can kind of buy some time with that. But I'm sorry, man, you need to go ahead and get Freddie locked up. Get him locked up before the postseason starts. Don't have that looming over his head, man. This team is not one of the better Braves teams I've seen because of the injury to Acuna and then the stupidity whole meltdown of Ozuna, right? But this team almost seems like they gel so much better than other teams that they've had in the past. This team could make a scary run. And I know no major analyst is going to say, oh man, Atlanta's bullpen, and the bullpen is shaky as hell, but their starting pitching is really good. And when you get to October, some of those starting pitchers can go into the bullpen because it looks like Tukey Toussaint's heading anyways because Ian Anderson's back. So you add Tukey. Smiley goes into the bullpen. This team can put together a much better bullpen in October than they can in August because you only start like 3-4 pitchers at the most in your rotation.
And there's one stat that you can't really count on paper as far as Freddie Freeman goes, but who do you think all those young players or even the veterans are looking to when, things aren't going great or things are going great? Everybody on that team is looking at Freddie Freeman. Everybody.
Exactly.
I still can't talk about the Mookie Betts trade. I'm not in a place spiritually where I can handle that right now because, it's Mookie Betts, and
look at
he's
the
only
bright
second.
side. You never have to see him play because he plays at like midnight.
Also, it's a big help. That does help, but it still breaks my heart to see him in Dodger blue. But I can tell you this much, Braves fans, you don't want to see Freddie Freeman in, wearing a Cardinals jersey or something like that. It's heart-wrenching. I agree with you. Do I think he should get a 7 or 8 year deal? No.
Yeah, I really do, man.
I've never been on board for
39 years old today. With the way he keeps himself in shape, he'll still be a viable first baseman, or worst case scenario DH, because that DH is coming. I'm telling you, by next year we're gonna have a DH because it's gonna be a bargaining chip. And though us National Leaguers have fought it for years, it's coming, man. It's gonna be a bargaining chip that's gonna get them over the top because it's gonna create another job in Major League Baseball that's double-digit millions of dollars. So in other words, an 8-digit salary, because you're going to add 15 jobs with guys who are going to make probably on average around 10 million or more over the next 4 to 5 years. It won't happen immediately. Some of the National League teams that suck will be, well, we're going to see if our pinch hitter can do it, but they'll eventually, the ones that want to contend, they will. That's why I've always said the American League had an unfair advantage when you get to the World Series, because they've already built their roster with that designated hitter. So they have an extra really good hitter. And then even when they play in the National League parks, you still have one hell of a pinch hitter sitting on your bench. So
yeah, that is not.
It's going to happen. We fought it long enough. It is what it is. Unfortunately, that's just the way it is, because they're not going to get rid of the DH in the AL. So, the only way, and Manfred, I'm just telling you, he cares more about that dollar sign than anything else. By the way, Braves fans, if you're looking at what you're pulling against, who you're pulling for, this week you've become really big Washington National and Miami Marlin fans, because at the beginning of the week, the Marlins are playing the Mets and the Nats are playing the Phillies. And then this weekend, flip-flop it. The Mets will be playing at the Nationals come Friday to start that series, and the Phillies will be in Miami to play the Marlins. So that's what we're looking at there. What is your walk-off for the day, sir?
Okay. Well, you have quasi changed my mind a little bit, because I hadn't looked that far ahead as far as the scheduling toward the end of the season. I still am going to say Sox have to have 3 out of 4 this time. We play terrible there, but you live with them and die with them. So let's get 3 out of 4. Go Sox.
If you're a Rays fan, we're looking to step on the neck of the Red Sox. We're going to take 3 out of 4 from them.
Yeah.
But honestly, right now we're sitting 6 games in front of the Yankees, 8 in front of the Red Sox. Man, if we win 2, I'm good with that, because there's going to be plenty.
I would be if I were you. Yeah, I would be too.
Games against the Orioles around the corner. You know what I mean? So just hold on and get ready for the Orioles series. That's all you got to do. All right, brother. We'll see you in a couple of Mondays. Have a great Labor Day weekend, and good luck to your Sox, just as long as they're not playing the Rays.
Right on, brother. I'll see you in a couple of weeks.
You're in Braves country.